Picture this. The ground splits open with a roar like thunder from the gods themselves. Houses crumble like dry leaves. People scream, grabbing children and whatever food they can carry as the earth shakes them to their knees. No warning, no escape plan on a phone, just pure chaos. Yet somehow, in the dust and ruins, a few stand up, dust themselves off, and start helping their neighbors. They survive, they rebuild, they keep going. That's the brutal truth of how ancient humans faced nature's worst punches: earthquakes, floods, volcanoes, ice ages, and droughts. Not because they had fancy tech or government help, they survived because they were tough as hell, smart as foxes, and stuck together like a family. Let me take you back into their raw, dangerous world and show you exactly how they did it, step by bloody step. Long before cities or written history, our ancestors lived through changes that would break most people today. During the Ice Age, massive sheets of ice covered huge parts of the world. Temperatures dropped hard. Food became scarce, but they didn't just huddle and wait to die. They got creative. They made better tools, sewed warm clothes from animal skins using bone needles, and built shelters in rock overhangs or simple huts. Fire became their best friend, keeping them warm, cooking food, scaring off predators. They organized themselves into groups that worked together to hunt big animals like mammoths. One person alone couldn't do it, but 10 working as a team. They brought home enough meat to last weeks. They read the land like a book. The elders taught the young how to spot signs of coming trouble, certain clouds before storms, how animals behaved before an earthquake, which plants meant water was nearby even in a drought. And when things got bad in one place, they moved. Mobility saved lives without numbers. There was no heavy furniture or closets full of stuff to pack. Just grab the spears, the kids, and walk until you find a better spot. That flexibility was their superpower. Now imagine a massive flood. Rivers swell after weeks of rain, swallowing everything in their path. Ancient people living near water saw this happen. Legends like the story of a great flood appear in so many old cultures because it really occurred. What did they do? Some built boats or rafts from logs tied together. Others headed for high ground as soon as the rains felt wrong or the river started acting strange. They lost homes. But the smart ones had stored dried meat and seeds on higher shelves or in caves. And after the water went down, they came back, cleared the mud, and planted again. Volcanoes were terrifying. When one blew its top, ash covered the sky for days, turning day into night. Crops died. Breathing hurt. But survivors moved away from the hot zones and learned from it. In some places, they noticed the soil came back stronger after the ash settled. So they returned when it was safe, turning disaster into better farmland years later. Earthquakes hit fast and mean. In places like ancient Turkey or Greece, towns fell in seconds. People rebuilt with better knowledge, sometimes using wooden frames that flexed instead of stone that cracked, or spacing buildings farther apart. They told stories around the fire about the shaking ground, turning scary memories into lessons for the kids. The earth dances sometimes, they'd say. Be ready to move when she does. And then there were the diseases that often followed these disasters. When floods or earthquakes destroyed clean water and food stores, sickness spread like wildfire. The plague of Athens around 430 BC hit during a war and overcrowding. Fevers, rashes, terrible stomach pain. People dropped fast. Bodies piled up. But some survived. And their bodies carried stronger resistance that they passed to their children. The Antonine Plague later tore through the Roman world, killing millions with fever and sores. The plague of Justinian in the 500s AD brought bubonic plague, swollen lumps, black sores, and death in days. After a natural disaster, rats and fleas thrived in the mess, and people packed together for safety, which made things worse. There was no medicine, no hospitals. Just herbs, rest, and hope. Families stayed up all night wiping foreheads with cool cloths, whispering prayers or songs. Many didn't make it, but the ones who did grew up knowing pain and loss and how to push through anyway. A simple cut after helping clear rubble could kill you from infection. Yet ancient humans built tougher immune systems the hard way. Survivors carried genes that helped fight future outbreaks. They learned which plants fought fever or cleaned wounds. Knowledge passed mouth to ear, generation after generation. This leaf for the belly pain, that root for the swelling. Life kept testing them. Droughts dried up rivers and killed plants. Whole groups had to walk hundreds of miles to new hunting grounds. Some didn't make it. The ones who did shared food, carried the weak, and told jokes to keep spirits up. Because even in the worst times, they found ways to laugh. Ancient comedy wasn't just silly plays, it was medicine for the soul. In Greece, after hard times, crowds packed theaters to watch Aristophanes' wild stories. In one famous play called Lysistrata, the women get so fed up with stupid wars and troubles that they refuse to sleep with their husbands until the men make peace. The crowds loved it. Imagine the roars of laughter as actors pranced around in ridiculous costumes, acting out silly bedroom problems and poking fun at big talking leaders who couldn't solve real crises. Romans loved comedies too, full of clever slaves outsmarting rich fools, boastful soldiers who ran from danger, and slapstick falls in the mud. After surviving a flood or quake, people needed those belly laughs. The earth shook so hard, even the gods spilled their wine. Humor reminded them they were still alive, and still human. These people had no choice but to be strong. No safety net. No one came to rescue them with trucks and supplies. When disaster struck, you either stepped up or everyone suffered. That created a fire in them, the kind that makes you look at a ruined home and say, okay, let's build it better. It's the same fire that makes modern people tear up hearing these stories, thinking about their own tough times, that camping trip where everything went wrong but they laughed anyway, or pushing through illness for their family. We crave that feeling of real resilience because deep down, we know our ancestors earned every sunrise the hard way. Their diets helped too. They ate whatever nature gave: wild meat, fish, nuts, berries, and roots. When one food disappeared after a disaster, they switched to another. No picky eating. Flexible stomachs and minds kept them going. Kids learned young by watching and helping. By the time they were teens, they knew how to make fire in the rain, track animals, and read weather signs. Community was everything. Lone wolves didn't last long. Groups shared knowledge, tools, and grief. Elders told stories that explained the world, why the ground shakes, why the river floods, and gave hope. We survived the last one, we'll survive this. Those stories carried science, warnings, and courage, all mixed together. Of course, not every group made it. Some settlements were wiped out whole, but humanity as a whole pushed forward because enough people adapted, moved, learned, and refused to quit. They turned ashes into new beginnings. So why should we care today? We still face storms, fires, floods, and sickness. Ancient humans show us that toughness isn't about never falling down. It's about how you get back up. We don't need to live in caves, but we can move more, learn real skills, build stronger communities, and laugh in the face of trouble. Not because life will get easier, but because we come from people who faced the worst and kept going anyway. Next time life shakes you, remember that ancestor standing in the rubble, brushing off the dust, and reaching out a hand to help his neighbor. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He started anyway. Their world was wild and unforgiving, but it forged unbreakable spirits. We carry that same blood. The next disaster, whatever it is, won't be the end. It'll just be another story of how we refused to break. And who knows? Maybe future kids will sit around fires hearing about us, shaking their heads in awe at how we kept the flame alive. What would you have done in their place? Run? Freeze? Or stand up, help your people, and start building again? Deep down, I think you already know. And that ancient fire is still burning inside you, waiting for its moment.